All right, what's going on, everyone? I am going to be just getting started here in a second. Let me just get the stream link sent out on Twitter, and then we will be rocking here in just a second. So thanks for joining, though. I super appreciate it. Looking forward to this. Lots to talk about, lots to go over. All right. Well, welcome. This is going to be the first episode of a series in which we are playing really together. It's a GM mode is kind of how I'm setting it up, where I will be, I guess, serving as the general manager here of the New York Knicks. I kind of explained that in a previous video, kind of the setup I'm using, why I'm using it, why I picked the Knicks, and so on. But the idea is community involvement will allow you, the assistant general manager, to really play along with me here and make suggestions, give advice, and so on. And this is, you got to think about this streaming series kind of like a train accelerating up the tracks. We're not going to have, simming 3 seasons on this first episode. It's going to start small because I think it's really important for us, all of us, including me, to get familiar with this roster and so on. Part of the series, too, is that there's going to be watchable gameplay. And what I mean by that is I have been working on a slider set myself. It's not ready yet. I know people are going to ask to see it. It's not ready. But as I'm kind of working and whatnot, or even just cleaning house and whatnot, I'll just kind of have games running in the background where I can basically just watch. It's completely in like a GM setup where I'm watching it from like the sky view. And it's been really, really cool. And that's where we're at here actually starting. Is at the end of this particular game here. We've got about 4 minutes left in this Knicks versus Magic game. It's the 3rd game of the season, and we're going to use this as a starting point here just to actually show you a little bit of the gameplay in a game that's been pretty exciting, although actually pretty dull in the beginning. This is a pretty rough offensive game by 2 most likely bad teams here. And we'll get into all of that and more, but let's kind of get through this game, and then I will be showing you kind of some of that gameplay. You'll see some of the sliders in action and so on, and we can really start discussing some things. But I am Mike Lowe. I'm on Twitter at Mike Lowe 47. Of course, if you'd like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's awesome. Thanks so much. And thank you so much for all the questions and comments, and even for helping answer. I have so many questions on the YouTube channel, I can barely even keep up. So thank you to those especially who are interacting on there and providing answers because I try my best, and some of those I just don't know. I don't know every answer that they're asking questions about and whatnot. So I super appreciate everyone doing that. But so anyway, let's get going here. Let me give you a quick recap. So as I mentioned, this is the 3rd game of the year. We're 1-1. We lost at Memphis. Ja Morant I think he had 46 or 48 points. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Could not stop him. And then we beat a Pistons team at home without Cade Cunningham, who got hurt in the 1st game of the year, simulated. And so here we are, 1-1, facing, I believe, a Orlando team that I think is also 1-1. And so this game started off really, really ugly. The first quarter, Orlando led 27-18. You can see both teams didn't even crack 15 points by the second quarter, but this is not normal for the slider set. This is just 2 bad teams just not shooting well those quarters. In the first half, the score was 41-31 Orlando, and it was not looking good for us at home. Third quarter, big turnaround for both teams. Again, obviously didn't touch the sliders at halftime or anything. And so both teams now score over 30. The Knicks get to 35. And thus far in the fourth quarter, we're outscoring them 20-10. So we were really, really disgustingly cold in the first half. And they have been disgustingly cold in the second half. And so where does that lead us? Well, it leads us right now to an 86-82 lead with about 4 minutes to go for the Knicks. Knicks have the ball, and you'll be looking at this, again, GM mode. I'm not playing this. I may mix in some playable games. I'm going to be certainly quick simming most of the season, and I'll talk about my sim schedule that I plan to use, not just for this season, but for future seasons. So you've seen the team stats there. I won't read them all to you. But it's just been not the prettiest of games, but again, a game, hopefully the Knicks can win this. We'll be 2-1 to start the season. That's not terrible. So let's get into the action, and we'll keep chatting here as it goes.
Certainly not the kind of night night he was looking for at the offensive end, and it's had a ripple effect on the team.
Pass to Brunson. Back to Rose. Randall with a screen for Rose. Outside for Randall. Off target from outside.
Pretty typical today. A lot of missed shots like that. Open shots.
Wagner finds Anthony. Back to Wagner. To the right side. Here's Suggs. The Magic again can't hit.
Nothing seems to be going his way this quarter.
This camera angle is like Skybox or Skyview or something like that. I love it. It's awesome. It's fun to play on too. Again, here we're just watching. We're just kind of a GM only mode, which means I'm letting the coach do his coaching, all that. Oh my gosh, they've missed everything. That's been the story of this game though.
With it. The pass to Rose.
But whatever, I'll take an ugly win. Get the 2-1.
There's the three. Connects from three-point range. Rose has got the lead up to 7 now for the Knicks.
You got to take Rose seriously from there now. I mean, he's capable of doing some major damage from distance.
Time call here. The Magic decide to talk it over.
So this is also the first look at the slider set. Again, we're not going to physically see the sliders. Not really going to discuss a ton of details on them just yet, but at least the first action you're seeing here. My goal with the slider set is to have it work in a kind of a coach mode like this, or a GM only mode, but also work in like CPU versus human games. So if you want to actually play the games, they should work pretty well too. So the game plays really well out of the box, so that's the first thing I can say. This is not like having to like tear the whole game down like we do sometimes with Madden or even MLB The Show. This game plays pretty darn well. So
the Knicks making a switch here. Quickly's checked in, and the change for the Magic. Fultz, he's checked in for Cole Anthony.
Dave County's asking what difficulty. It's on All-Star right now, so I will tell you that the base of my slider set right now, I'm planning it to be on All-Star, but that could change.
Now Suggs, and Wagner has it in the corner. Carter, the pass to Suggs.
I mean, technically it's custom now, right? But it's started at All-Star.
They should be taking if they want to make this comeback happen.
Robinson a screen on Carter.
It's just under 2 minutes now.
Randall passes to Brunson. Buries it down low.
Motorcycle, does my GM feel like it was so it's not, it's all MyNBA now, and it's technically MyNBA eras is what they're calling it now. But I've started in the modern era, which if you start in the modern era, it starts you with this season 2022. So yeah, they basically just combined like MyNBA and MyGM.
No good. Can't put an end to this drought.
Does it feel? Yeah, it does. It feels the same, but they've tightened some things up. I know a lot of people have complained that the draft classes are still bad. I don't think they're that bad. I think people's expectations may just be a little bit. I don't know. I think they're almost getting too used to the custom-made draft classes, which are probably a little bit inflated. And the G League's a lot better. So, yeah, there's not like earth-shattering new... I mean, the era's concept itself is remarkably... It's huge. It's a huge improvement. But you have to have it on next gen. It's by far the most common question I get. It's not on PC. It's not on current gen. But, that was a rough shot. But, 3-point... Or, geez, we're up by 9 now. But yeah, you need to be on the next gen in order to use the eras, and that's pretty awesome. But again, we're not really utilizing it too much in this particular series. So.
And you can sense that these fans, these players, they are ready to celebrate.
And I think they can start
Look
that
like a travel.
celebration right now. I mean,
Yeah, I actually like the default draft classes. I'm using a community created one here because I figured people on this stream are going to want to see it. And, but I don't mind those, and we'll get a good mix here because we go into the future. We're eventually going to run out of accurate draft classes. So it is crazy to think we were trailing by 20 points in this game. The Knicks were, and they're going to win by 10, 94-84. So lowest scoring game of the year.
So no problem for New York.
But we'll take it. 2-1.
It seemed like they were happy to be playing at home tonight.
And it makes a big difference. And once they started to really play in rhythm, you never felt like they had any doubts as to whether or not they were going to win.
And now we'll send it over to David Aldridge, who is standing by courtside. David.
Thanks, Kevin. Derek, congrats on the win tonight. What do you think was the ultimate factor?
Just playing defense. Our defense turned into offense, and it worked out for us tonight. We definitely don't want to be in that situation, but we just fall away back into the game.
Yeah, you hung in there and were able to come back and overcome the deficit. Thanks, Derek. Back to you, Kevin.
All right, David, thank you. Well, folks, that's going to do it for now. For David...
Gonna just cut that out because I don't know if the music, sometimes YouTube will freak out if there's music going. But yeah, I see a lot of people mentioning, hope this comes to PC. Yeah, I would be, first off, yeah, of course, I hope as well. I mean, first off, I know the modding community on PC for various sports games can be really impressive. But I wouldn't expect it. It's a pretty big feature to kind of drop in, but you never know. But yeah, it's kind of weird because like Madden's the same way. It's kind of a little bit behind of the next-gen consoles, or a lot behind. Hey, Miles, yeah, we are on PS5 right now. So we can look at the game stats here. Again, we don't need to spend too much time here. One of the things I've been trying to get is the proper amount of 3 points being taken. And again, I'm just not like an exact number in my head, but kind of being around 30 per team, and we're pretty close there. So that's really good. Free throws this game super, super low. They have not usually been that low. And if you've seen, there's been a lot of positive talk about, fouls and stuff working really well out of the box. So this is an anomaly. Super, super weird to only have 5 attempts by Orlando, only 9 by us. So that has not been the case. The other thing with 12-minute quarters, trying to keep points in the paint reasonable, which they have been. Some of that's just, it was a little bit of a low-scoring game. So again, that balance there, keeping points in the paint low but keeping fouls high is a little bit tricky, and that's kind of where I'm at now with the slider set, just kind of working through that. But you can see the rest there. Not a ton of turnovers for either team, maybe a tick low there. But again, I've bumped up turnovers in this set. So, but anyway, it's a 10-point win. We'll take it. Look at some box scores here. Julius Randle, 23 points, 11 rebounds. I love that they show you, and this isn't anything new, but I love that they show you the highlights. Like, just think if like Madden or MLB The Show did this, like as you looked at your starting pitcher and they're showing him like racking up strikeouts, and it's just little stuff like this when people don't understand, like, well, why is this the best franchise mode? It's little stuff like this, in my opinion. Anyway, Randall quickly off the bench, 19 points and 5 assists. RJ Barrett, 15 points. Brunson, 12. Derrick Rose, 4 of 8 shooting, just kind of a quiet game for him. Mitchell Robinson's one of my favorite players on this team. 6 points, 9 rebounds, 3 of 5 shooting, 4 blocks. So again, just quietly a decent game for him. Probably one of his quieter games. It's a quiet game for everybody because it was just very low scoring. 6 points and 7 rebounds for Obi Toppin. I like Obi Toppin. He's a fun player, which I didn't realize today, and I'm probably way behind on this, but I'm guessing he was named after like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's why he wears the number 1, or is that just a random theory that popped into my head today? But I'm guessing I'm not the first person to recognize that, but just thought that was cool. But he's been a nice player, just inside shooter mostly. Just a big time dunker. He finishes a ton of really, really nice alley-oops, so super fun to watch. And yeah, if we look at the Magic here really quick, Bamba 18 points, Suggs 13, 12 for Wagner. Banchero, I know he was the first pick. I don't even know, is it Paulo Banchero, I think is how you say his name. It's a very Brazilian name there, a Portuguese name. 11 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals for him. And then, there's Moritz Wagner. They have 2 of them. So Franz Wagner and Moritz Wagner. I don't even know if he pronounces that way, but still pretty neat. So yeah, 10 points, 5 rebounds for Moritz there. And again, just a nice win Hopefully the game does not lock up on me. It's been doing this. There we go. It X'd out. I think I have found, by the way, if anybody runs into that error where you would have seen it right there, where it kind of like uploads the VC, it would give me an error. And what I realized is, so I did a lot of testing on this game. It was its first game either. I was doing slider testing. So I got played at halftime, I'd quit it, and I'd restart. I'd make slider adjustments, I'd restart. I was restarting this game over and over, and I would walk away. I'd go to dinner with my wife, whatever, and I'd come back and I'd check it, trying to get some good stats happening. And when I finally got to the end of it, this game was just giving me all kinds of problems. I had to start the whole franchise over, basically, and then get that game to work. So right now, there seems to be an error. Like if you exit out of a game, even if you just quit it completely to restart it, you're going to have trouble finishing it. And again, I don't know that for sure. That's what was happening to me, at least. And even when I did Google, this looks like a problem with the last few years of this game. So just be careful on that. So as I mentioned, we're 2-1. I will show you these box scores here in just a little bit. And again, we're like an accelerating train. We're not going to do 3 games per stream. We will be ripping off months at a time, sometimes years at a time in this series, but not yet. We're not at that speed just yet. I'm still getting familiar with the team. I want those who are following along with this stream to get familiar with that team as well, right? So it's all kind of part of this process. But again, your input does matter in this stream. You are the assistant general managers. I want your input. I am not an expert on the NBA or even basketball by any stretch. It's probably the sport I'm least familiar with. But I love this game. I love the team building aspect. And I especially I like that we're 2-1. And here's why. I don't want this just to be a rebuild. I don't want this to be a stream about let's rebuild the Knicks. Those are everywhere. They're boring. It's not that hard. I've said this a million times if you watch my videos. Rebuilds aren't challenging because there's only one direction to walk, and it's to get better. To me, a middle-of-the-road team is far more challenging because what do you do? What do you do if you're the 7 or 8 seed or you're the first team outside of a playoff spot the week before the trade deadline? Are you going to sell stuff off or are you going to buy? Are you going to try to push to be the 6th seed? What are you doing, right? That is far more challenging than just hoping you get the first overall pick and pick the best player, and then here we go. It's just those streams are a dime a dozen. And this is, I hope, like I said, I'm excited we're 2-1 because I kind of hope we're around like 500 or something like that because it'll create some really fun storylines as we go and we try to keep this team going. But anyway, your input's super important. The sim schedule that I plan to use for this, and I'm sharing this because I've had some people ask me, is I kind of like to theme it a little bit. So like, for instance, normally if I wasn't doing a streaming series, I probably would have simulated this entire first season. I would have just gotten some stats. Let's get to the off season. Let me start bringing in my own players. And then next year I would have maybe like played, or in this case, watched, I don't know, say 10% of the games. So that would be, or maybe 20%, let's just say that'd be like 16 games out of the 82, right? I would just kind of go to some interesting games and be opening night or, the day before the trade deadline, day after the trade deadline, stuff like that. I would play some interesting games that I want to see. Any playoff game I'd probably want to get in and play or watch. And then each year I would probably start adding on about 20%. So after the 3rd season, I would be playing or watching like 32 games. And then after about 4 or 5 seasons, I'd be pretty much into all of them because now almost the entire team's going to be of what we've made at that point. And again, we're not going to ever get to a point in this particular series where we're just watching game after game after game after game. That's what I'd be doing if it was just strictly offline. I would eventually have a team I want. It's all mine. I want to just kind of play the games now. But it's entirely up to you. It's funny how many times I get asked stuff like that. And the quickest answer is like, I don't know, do whatever you want. I mean, you can sim the whole damn thing if you want, or you can play every single game and only get through like a season and a half if you want. It's entirely up to you. But that's what I'm doing. Again, here I'll probably do like 10% this year and maybe 20% next year. So like I've already watched 3 of these games. I'll probably do 5 more throughout the season. I think on today's stream, we'll probably sim it at least this month. And we'll just kind of see from there. I think that we wouldn't go like say past like, the All-Star game. We're not going to go, we're not even going to get close to that. Where is the All-Star game even? Yeah, we're not even going to get close to February. So, but we will. Eventually streams will be months and months and months. So please rest assured on that. I've mentioned the slider updates. It's coming along. It's funny. It started off really, really well. And then it's kind of like hit some roadblocks. But nonetheless, it's playing okay. just to kind of show you, we saw the stats here. Let's go back to the first game of the year, and then I can just show you. So I mentioned Ja Morant, 46 points. I mean, he's just ridiculous. Took 31 shots, made 19. Just complete one-man show that game. Completely shut it down. For the Knicks, Randall, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 16 for Brunson and Barrett, 11 for Quickly off the bench. Marcus Robinson doing his thing, 7 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Also 5 assists. I mean, that's a really nice game for him. Derrick Rose, 5 assists. So pretty standard stuff here. You know, looking at the team stats here, we lost by 11 points. We just didn't shoot as well as them. I mean, that's the simplest way of putting it, but you can see the 3-pointers started creeping up. Free throws still a little bit on the lower side there. And that's been hard. That's been really hard to sort out. It's been interesting. Like, I'm getting fouls called, but they're not always shooting fouls. And I have shooting fouls at 100, so there's a spoiler so far, at least on the shooting fouls. It's max. There's nothing else I can do with it. But there's little ways we can create more contact and, you know, have them drive to the basket more, things like that. Yeah, good question, Miles. How much playing time are you thinking for the rookies? So the beauty of this being the GM mode is up to the coach. I'm letting the coach handle it. Eventually, maybe we'll start to override some things, or especially if we like fire Thibodeau or he leaves or something like that, and maybe we bring in a more like a puppet coach that we can kind of, you know, drive things a little bit. But yeah, I am letting the coach handle it. We will look and see what he's doing with the rookies momentarily. So again, just looking through here, nothing too crazy. Just giving you a quick look at the first few games. The Pistons game, as I mentioned, Cade Cunningham was hurt for them. Julius Randle had a really nice game there. 25 points, 13 rebounds, 21 for Barrett, 16 for Brunson, 15 for Toppin. A double-double for Marcus Robinson. I'm sorry, Mitchell Robinson. I keep calling him Marcus Robinson. He is just really fun. Like, when I watch these games and stuff, he's just blocking shots, and he's super, super fun to watch. And so is Randall. Randall's just a thick guy, man. He's just down there. He's battling. Gets points low. He hits some even though he's not a great three-point shooter, he's done okay. I mean, he was 3 for 5 in this particular game. And when he gets an open shot, it's kind of fun because he's pretty consistent. Jaden Ivey, fifth pick in the draft, I should say. First pick for the Pistons, 33 points. So again, really stepping up with Cunningham out injured for the Pistons, but definitely not enough there. So again, free throws a little bit better this game. You can see they kind of regressed the last game. But that's the thing, too. If you're adjusting your sliders, and I say this for myself, too, you got to be a little bit patient. You got to let it breathe a little bit. If you make changes and that next game suddenly, like, oh, they only shot a certain percentage. Well, guess what? That last game was super low scoring, right? In the first half, you saw we only had 31 points at halftime. I didn't touch the shooting percentages at all. And so this previous game, we shot 58%. You might think that's too high, right? So you got to let the sliders breathe a little bit. That's one of the hardest things I've learned about adjusting sliders is, like, you cannot make too many quick decisions. You get lost, right? You really start, it's like going through like a mirror maze or something. I mean, you got to just keep moving forward. Let the settings breathe a little bit. Even if, again, you restart a game and just kind of let it play. I can't tell you how many, I probably watched that first game of the season against Memphis like 8 different times, just watching the sliders do different things. And even when I wouldn't adjust it, there was games where the Memphis scored 146 points. There was a couple of the games that the Knicks actually pulled out on the road. Miles, I am using 12 minutes. Sorry, I'm not seeing every question. I'm just kind of seeing a few of them pop up real quick, but these are on 12 minutes as we watch the games. Yep. So, but anyway, we're 2-1. Pretty excited about that so far, especially the way that first half looked in Orlando. I was not loving that again. I mean, look at that. Look at the point totals in the first half of the Knicks to come back and win this game. I was a little bit worried there. So that's exciting. Of course, we are nowhere near the end of the season, so there's still lots to do there. And, kind of speaking of letting the sliders breathe, the next point I wanted to get to is it's a very similar thing with a new franchise. There's a reason why I haven't gone in here and fired the coach or made 16 trades and things like this. By the way, before the game started, before this last game, the Chicago Bulls reached out and offered me a trade for Derrick Rose, which I thought was kind of funny. And it was an interesting trade, but I ended up turning it down. Because again, I'm letting things breathe a little bit. I want to let things breathe. I don't know what direction this team's going. I don't know quite how they're going to gel. Their chemistry is at 79%. You can see on the bottom of the screen there. We're 2-1, which is kind of what I would expect us to be, with 2 home games against bad teams, one of which is hurt. And then a pretty tough loss that we actually didn't play that bad on the road against a really good Memphis team. So, but my point is I'm letting things breathe a little bit. I'm letting the league kind of come to me. Just to give you kind of a look around the transaction report, you can see the Pacers signed Miles Bridges. I don't know the exact story on what's going on with him in real life. When I did my quick Google search, it wasn't good, right? He's got some stuff happening. And so what I've done, I can show you here. I went in and just edited him really quick. I was surprised the Pacers still signed him, because at the top there you can see I gave him basically the longest injury I can for personal reasons. So this should not impact like his health or anything like that. But there you can see current injury, personal reasons. He is out for the entire season, but it's something like 400 days or something like that. So he'll be out for a while. They signed him to a 1-year deal. I don't know. That's not too unbelievable. Yeah, right. So there was some kind of, I was going to say, I thought it was like domestic violence or something. Yeah, that's obviously ridiculous if that's all true. And it certainly sounds like I said, I'm not a private investigator. I have not gone into the details on what's going on there, but certainly my wife used to do a lot of work in that particular field and covering that kind of content, and it's disgusting. So yeah, so he is there, injured, out for the year, but the Pacers signed him. No matter what I did, I tried a few different ways to like not have him get signed, but they basically just want to give him a bunch of money to not play, apparently. So anyway, so that's kind of the only really big transaction that happened. Let's see. I did hire some staff, not too crazy. So again, these are just small little updates just to kind of show you what I've done so far. Oh, wow, that's too bad. That's yeah, disgusting and sad, all the above. Yeah. Okay. And just so stupid to like, yeah, just on so many levels, it's just so stupid to like piss your career away, and obviously how wrong it is, but just so many levels. Anyway, where am I going here? Staff. So first out, we didn't have any scouts. We just had a head scout. So I signed one domestic scout, Don Moreland. I think he was the only scout with like 4 badges. So I was like, let's go. Let's get this guy on board. The badges, I honestly forget what they are, but I know one is like he's the one with the stars, like he's good at North American scouting. The plain is he's good at international scouting. I believe the tie is like he's very good at scouting the lottery picks. And then I forget what the little target thing is. It's this target. 10% less. I actually kind of like that they're 10% less accurate. It kind of makes it more fun for me. So I liked him. And then we signed a foreign scout, Robin Baker, here. Again, he is good at scouting as well in the lottery and also international, you'd think, with his particular job title. And then the only other person we hired here is Irvin Francis, our physio, who's kind of like I guess like a team trainer is the best way. Like I know a lot of like international, like European soccer, right? Football. They use what's called a physio, and it's like what we would use as like a team trainer in like the NHL or NBA, that kind of thing. So we did that. We still have space for one more, but I didn't want to use it just yet. I'm kind of letting it play out a little bit. But our front office is packed, and we also have our coaching staff is pretty darn packed as well. And so I didn't fire anybody. I'm not looking to spend money where I don't need to spend it. We're just kind of letting it go. Popovich, or what am I saying? Popovich, Thibodeau, 3 years, $25 million. So he's here for a little while. I think someone who was asking about just kind of seeing him and maybe his playbook. I don't know if we can see his playbook here, but we can certainly see it some other places. But I love defense. I mean, I grew up a Pistons fan, so like I actually like that Thibodeau's the coach here, even though I don't really think he fits the hey, what's up, T2? He doesn't necessarily fit this roster, or maybe the roster doesn't fit him, however you want to look at it, because they are not a very good defensive team. But I do like Thibodeau as a coach in this game. So I think he's kind of a fit for at least what I'm trying to do. But his actual playbook, let's go back and look at that because I know that came up as well. And again, part of this being GM only, like, can you go in this game and do all this stuff? Yeah, I could go in and I could set up game plans for each team, and I can set up rotations and minute by minute rotations if I wanted. But from what I can tell, the CPU teams don't do this. Like, they don't even use these. Like, they don't use game specific or team specific game plans, which is a bummer. But they don't use those, right? And so same thing. I try to keep it where I'm not giving myself a special advantage. What's up, Dangerous? And so, I try to keep it, because otherwise it's like the Madden thing, right? Like, if you're using all the XP upgrades you get or the different scenarios, your team just gets all these free boosts that the other teams aren't getting. Of course, your team's going to be better. I want this to be something that we earn fairly, right? So anyway, let's go, and we can see his coaching setup here for Thibodeau. It is the Knicks Playbook. People were asking there. And again, I'm not messing with any of this. I don't think the game will ever change that sort of stuff. I mean, unfortunately, I won't even add in focal players or anything. Oops, I'm back on this screen. Or where is it at? Where is it at where it has the... or did they get rid of that? The sim point of emphasis. Remember, you used to be able to put your primary player... They must have got rid of that, which is good in my opinion because the CPU teams never used it. So... injuries. How do I get to his playbook? I forget now. But it's in there. I haven't messed with it. There's the playbook. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys want to see, but it's the Knicks Playbook. I haven't seen a ton of variety in play calls, but I kind of like that. It just kind of goes with just kind of using that dynamic. I use kind of a static system where if the player's hot, we just keep going to him, right? And that's just on the game default. So I just kind of go with that. It seems to be working pretty well. I mean, if you have a good player who's hot, why would you not want to keep going back to them until the defense can prove they can stop you? So it's good. I mean, when we kind of talk about this defensive roster itself, I mean, I've mentioned earlier, I mean, nothing personal against Derrick Rose, of course. He's just not really, I think, a long-term fit. I mean, he's 34, first of all. But you can see here, really, our backcourt isn't really fitting the particular system we're trying to run here. And in the modern NBA, I mean, my gosh, we're going to need some defensive backcourt. So, I think Mitchell Robinson's a really good fit. Randall, Barrett as well. And not that these guys aren't. I like Brunson a lot. I just don't know if he's going to be the end-all, be-all long-term shooting guard for this team. We're certainly going to be on the lookout for a point guard because even off the bench, I don't really think we have the guy just yet. And so that's something we're keeping an eye on. But again, right now, I just need to let the season unfold a little bit because to me, it's reaching in your wallet and if someone says, can I have all the money in your wallet? It's well, I guess, I want to help you out, but I have no idea how much is in there, right? And sometimes that answer might change based on what's in that wallet. And so that's what I'm trying to let kind of come about here is I want to see what we have here before just kind of giving it all away or forcing anything, right? So, I mentioned not really changing anything. That includes, different things like, where is it at? The player mentorship. I just kind of let this happen. I mean, to me, this is how it should be in a game anyway. What GM is listen, Derek, listen, I need you to work with, first off, let me say, these conversations would happen, right? But it's not like you can just always force this sort of stuff. A lot of mentorship, because I don't care if you work at in the NBA or if you work at Burger King or it doesn't matter, right? I mean, mentorship sometimes just kind of happens. And you're yes, there's training, right? That's different. But mentorship where people just kind of inspire you or kind of take you under your wing and that kind of thing. I mean, that comes across a little bit more naturally. So I'm letting this player mentorship just happen organically. I have not changed these. Luckily, the game does handle this, right? They will put these in place. And as I scroll through the players, you'll see there are some players that are matching up with mentor and mentee relationships, which I think is cool. It just kind of organically happens. I think it's a little bit unrealistic to force these sort of things every single time. Plus, you're probably going to be giving yourself an advantage over the CPU teams who are doing it this way, where it's maybe not always the best match. If you're playing in an online league or something, yeah, I mean, go for it. Maximize everything you possibly can because you're going to be at a disadvantage otherwise, right? So I guess speaking of, one of the things we will be doing is, of course, drafting, right? And first thing I can say about the draft is please keep spoilers out of it. That's super, super important here. I won't be reading those. I'm going to try my best not to even look at those. I mean, the draft class, it is a very popular draft class, but there's so many different versions of this. I don't even know what version I'm using. So there is going to be a little bit of like spoiler proofing that's done here. But these are the top players. I've gone through and just very, very preliminarily identified a few players that I like. Players who I think can who can play defense. I mean, that's kind of the first thing I'm looking for. Then if you can chip in something on offense, especially like something you're really special at, like athleticism or 3-point shooting or getting to the basket, whatever it is, you're a player I'm interested in, right? And so if we look at our big board, that's the big board, our draft board, and I guess there is a particular order. It's just by position, right? So I've identified 1 point guard, Tyrese Proctor, 2 shooting guards, a handful of small forwards, just 1 power forward, and a few centers. Now, I should say there are more. What I can tell you is that I was not looking for anyone who was above, and where are the actual... Yeah, so like I was only looking at like C+ or higher prospects for now. If we kind of sort these in order, if it lets us do that... Oops, I just removed a prospect. Let's see, who did I remove? We said we had... Oh, this is easy. I did save it. Let me back out here, guys, and then we'll just reload our save, because I accidentally removed someone from our board, which is not cool. All right, MyNBA, continue. There we go. All right, so back to the board. Scouting. Draft boards. So, okay, can I sort here? I don't think I can sort. But anyway, the point being is I didn't put anyone that was below a C+ for now. Of course, there's tons of players that are, right? And my actual like lead scout or whoever hasn't even come to me yet. Or they usually pop up that little reminder of like, hey, I'm ready to go out and start scouting. And I think the reason that's done with a delay, because at first it used to kind of bother me, like, why can't I send my scout out? Well, there's nothing to scout, right? I mean, you can see here, there's no statistics happening yet. For this player, there's no games that have been played, and so there's nothing to really look at just yet. But if we just kind of go through again, I'm looking for people who can play defense. So like Tyrese Proctor, point guard, can also play shooting guard, 6'5", and this would be just a fantastic pick for us depending where we're at. With a point guard, I also want someone who can be a playmaker, and then if you can chip in on offense, fantastic. But your primary job in my kind of what I'm envisioning, especially with Thibodeau as the coach, is I need you to play perimeter defense. I need you to make plays. And again, you can also chip in on offense very, very consistently, it looks like. So, I mean, he looks to be a really, really special player. So I would have no problem taking Tyrese Proctor if we're in a position to do that. The shooting guards, you're going to see similar things. Perimeter defense, this guy can also, Keontae can also play small forward. Again, great 3-point shooter, can certainly score on the inside as well. So a guy you could be really creative with in your particular lineup is like a small forward or kind of a larger shooting guard. So like him a lot. Again, can play defense. Cason Wallace can play really, really good perimeter defense. Also a good playmaker, can also play point guard, and can score, can certainly shoot the 3. So again, would be kind of a nice option 1B if we're looking for someone maybe as a point guard here, even though he's primarily his primary position is shooting guard. There were a lot of small forwards. I won't go through all of them, but if we're looking at power forward or center, Gregory Jackson out of South Carolina. So what am I looking for in a forward? I mean, pretty obvious stuff if we're talking defense here. It's, post defense and rebounding for sure. And then if you can actually chip in as a perimeter defender in today's NBA, that's awesome. So that stood out to me. He's not the greatest post defender, but the fact that he can also play perimeter, that's pretty exciting. And so I'll be curious to see what his potential looks like. He can chip in a little bit on offense, but he's got pretty good size, 6'9". So again, I liked Gregory Jackson. Seems to be the best player in the draft here. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Wembanyama? Sorry. But anyway, he is the highest rated player in the draft, at least from what we see. 7'5" out of France. I don't know if that's accurate. I did Google search him, and I think that's maybe a little over exaggerating his height, but still pretty cool. Center, power forward. He can score pretty much anywhere inside the 3-point line. Perimeter defense, not bad, and post defense is just phenomenal. Can also rebound really well. Good basketball IQ. I pronounced Victor correctly. Okay, yeah, so he's 7'3". So yeah, maybe I'll go in and edit that. I mean, I thought 7'5" was a little, and maybe they're projecting a little bit of like, oh, that's what he'll be, but it's like, oof, man, that's pretty wild. So, Wembanyama, I guess is how you say it, Wembanyama. So yeah, he looks, really good, but I don't know, like. I like our front court, but again, I'm not going to pass up talent. I mean, especially in the NBA here, generational prospect, 7'4" barefoot. Wow. Okay. So yeah, maybe there's something there. Very, very cool. So, and what I hope in these rosters, or I should say like in these draft classes, I hope that, every once in a while they take this quote unquote generational prospect and kind of make him a dud. And that's in the game, right? Like they have the bust and they have the boom kind of set up, and I will never go in and look at these. I'll never edit a player. So there's always that chance. And some of that's just going to naturally happen. Like this guy might be kind of just like an average player in my league, but he might be, a perennial all-star in yours. It's just kind of how it happens. Is it Khalil? I'm not sure how you say his name. But out of Oregon, this guy was interesting because it says he's positioned center and also point guard. I didn't know if that was like an error and it was supposed to be power forward, but nonetheless kind of interesting because his playmaking's pretty bad. So I'm not quite sure why you'd want a 7-foot guy with F playmaking at the point, but maybe I'll edit him if someone can definitely confirm that that's a mistake. But he can score on the inside. But again, really, really nice player. Like if we end up picking later in the draft, maybe, or like middle of the first or wherever this guy may be. I mean, this is a guy I would happily take. He's certainly, going to play really good defense and that kind of thing. It's just not really a huge position of need for us. But I do like Khalil or Khalil. I think it's Khalil. Right? Khalil? Where? It must be Khalil. Derek Livers, or is it Livers? Sorry, like I said, I don't watch a ton of basketball, so I'm completely reliant on pronunciations on a few of these. Post defense, A, B+ rebounding, so that's good. Doesn't really bring much on the offensive side of things, but 7'1", just 18 years old, pretty athletic. So again, kind of a fun player, but maybe a little one-dimensional. So. And then again, there was a whole collection of small forwards. You can just see them there, kind of a similar setup, right? I mean, small forward, I guess in particular, I'm looking for, you better be able to play defense at least one of these spots. So if I just kind of click through, you can see that they're all able to kind of at least chip in on defense. Some of them can chip in really nicely on offense as well. But that's kind of the thing here. I mean, again, kind of building defense first, and then we'll take the offense. And kind of even if it's just in like a specialty situation, if you can only score on the inside or if you can only shoot threes or whatever it is. So again, that's kind of the setup we have with the draft so far. Again, super early. We have no scouting reports back yet. We don't know a ton about even the direction of this team, and that's obviously fine. One random thought, I'd be curious to hear, this is completely kind of even outside of this GM. When I was watching one of these games today, it was just out in the background, I was thinking like, you know what? I wonder if like a ref mode would ever work in a game like this. Because I think it would be kind of fun to like go in and you're the ref and you're watching the game in like first person. Like think back to like the old like NFL 2K4, not even 2K5, right? Like one of the original 2K football games, where they had like that first person, I think it's in 2K5 too, but they had that first person view where like you'd look through the face mask. But imagine if they had like a ref mode like that, where you could be on the actual court looking first person, kind of like you would like in a first person shooter, but you're watching people play, and then you'd have like your whistle button, and then you have to make the proper call, and like then you get judged at the end of the game on your score. I mean, again, I don't think too many people would go through and like play an entire career as a ref, but I think it'd be fun because then you could like ref your friends' games or something like that. Or like if you had two friends playing, you could as a third person kind of hanging out on the couch, you could be the ref of that game. And like, that would just be so cool. I think that'd be hilarious. So, All right, so we said we do a little bit of simulating. I guess we didn't do anything, but let me just save just in case. And yeah, let's go towards the end of November here. Let's get to December 1st, and we're going to know a little bit more about this team. And then that'll be a good spot for us to kind of pause and talk and really kind of let you, again, assistant general managers here, all of you, let it kind of digest a little bit until the next stream. And then we'll be able to just kind of talk about plan of action. We may even have some scouting reports coming back and that kind of thing. So we're just going to go kind of one game at a time. We're going to simulate through the date. Okay, so we take our first loss, definitely the highest scoring game. Just a quick look at the box score. So Randall, almost a double-double. Brunson and Barrett, plus 20 points there. Fournier is good. He's fun to watch in those live games too. Hits a lot of threes. Derrick Rose, again, just kind of underwhelming. And I know he's just not the same player, obviously. Quickly, 10, 6, and 5. Pretty solid game off the bench. Whenever I see, whenever we lose, I like to kind of look here, right? Like, not that you're pointing the finger, but it's like, I mean, Julius Randle was less than 50%, took 22 shots. He's not a guy. He still scored 23 points, but I mean, an all-star or better player, right? I mean, that's going to be at least 30 something. So that's going to be sometimes the difference, right? I mean, we only lost by 5 points, so you convert. And so what I'm saying, like, I'm not necessarily looking at front court. Well, it depends. Like, if we can turn Randall into a perennial top 3 power forward in the league, and if we can make a move like that, I mean, we're going to do it. Because suddenly this 23 is maybe 33 and we win this game, right? So sometimes it's as simple as that, or at least the way I'm looking at it. By the way, looking at simulated game free throws, and this is just for my own kind of knowledge here as we look to kind of balance out the sliders. They're not terribly far off, but again, that's closer to 18 than it is 10. 3-pointers. I mean, this team they're just taking more shots in the played game. So maybe even thinking about more like turning up the speed a little bit, that kind of thing. There's a lot of sliders in this game. So LaMelo Ball, of course, just kind of showing you his overall here. He 32 points, 12 rebounds for him. 17 for Isaiah Thomas there. And let's see, 15. Yeah, I mean, they pretty well balanced attack. Nobody was really super cold shooting or anything like that. Their free throws, so again, they had a ton, right? They had 32, so I'm definitely not seeing those in the played out games, whether I'm playing them or simulating or watching them. 45 3-point attempts, like, wow. So, yeah, it's a bit of a different animal there. 90 shots total from the floor for both teams, 90 or more. 40 or more 3-pointers. Free throws, I mean, average of about 20, or exactly 20. Yeah, just everything is a little bit inflated. So again, makes me think about game speed a little bit, because like we just need more things to happen. We need more everything, more turnovers. We need to see more 3-pointers, more free throws, more fouls. Problem is, all you really start to see is just a bunch of points in the paint, right? So I mean, out of these 130. You only got 40 points in the paint. So that's just... And unfortunately, games never really align those too well, at least out of the box, and I've never really seen a slider set to, completely pull that off. So let's keep going here. We won't take all that time. I am not looking to trade Mitchell Robinson. I mean, I'll show you guys the trades that are coming in, but right now, even if we were... yeah, I'm not looking to even downgrade like star ratings on a per player basis. Like, I mean, yeah, I have no interest in a 73 overall who's 24. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a decent player. He's a bench player. He's 30. I mean, no, that is like truly an awful trade. So we're gonna say no to that one. Okay, so another loss, 92-21. Let's just do real quick looks here. Antetokounmpo, 24 points, 12 rebounds. Yeah, Miles, I'm going to use, so Miles says maybe try to use the trade block and untouchables. Yes, for sure. But there's really no one. Even though I like Mitchell Robinson, he's not untouchable, right? And yeah, you're absolutely right, though. But it can narrow down some of the offers we're getting and that kind of thing. But right now, I just don't know yet, right? I'm still kind of, I'm still checking the cupboards, right, before I go to the grocery store. I want to just kind of see what we already have in stock and gonna let it breathe a little bit. And that's, again, kind of like where we'll probably end the stream here, is at the end of this month, we will know a little bit more about what we need to run to the store to possibly get, right? But no, you're absolutely right. So that's the Bucks Knicks there. No one gets to 20 points. Looking at the shooting percentages, I mean, Randall here, 317. So what we were just talking about, right? I mean, he's just not a superstar kind of player, and not that we were expecting that. He's not bad. He's a starter, and I do like Julius Randle on this team. But 27 years old, 83. I mean, you can't be going 3 of 17. You can't be going 3 of 12 either, right? So, and this is kind of the story. It's like these are both nice players, but like, come on now. And this game was out of hand. I mean, I don't even think these guys, being much, much better players may have helped all that much. I mean, it certainly would have helped, but I don't know if the results would have changed. But you can't have these performances against really, really good teams, right? 3-pointers, a little bit more reasonable. Now look at this, free throws, 4 of 4. That's less than we had in the played game, right? So when we're talking about sample sizes, there you go, 17. There were just a crap load of fouls in that previous game, probably because it was a tighter game, right? Points in the paint. Like, I'm looking at these guys. I know this is probably not the most exciting part for you, but I'm just checking these, just kind of mentally making notes, and actually making notes in front of me here at the pen, just kind of for the slider balance and stuff like that. So steals, turnovers were in the teens. Okay. Yeah. So another loss. I mean, I don't think we were really expecting to win either of those games. Were we home? I guess it doesn't matter for this game. So we were at Milwaukee, right? Yeah. And home, I mean, that was maybe a winnable game. And then next up, we're going to be away here, Cleveland. Oops. So we lose by 2. So again, just looking real quick at the stat lines here. If you want to see these in more detail, you can always pause the video. But I'm just kind of looking for a few things. Again, I mean, sample size, I mean, you could give me 20 games and it's still really hard to like make any like super concrete, breakdowns or anything like that. I mean, this isn't a bad game. We just couldn't stop them, apparently. I mean, we lost by 2 points. Both teams scored over 120. RJ Barrett, 9 of 19. That's not great. It's not terrible. Again, Julius Randle, 8 of 19. He's taking a lot of shots, right? Remember growing up as a Pistons fan watching Jerry Stackhouse, and it's like Jerry Stackhouse, he was fun to watch, but also like he's a reason why the Pistons lost a lot too, right? He scored a lot of points, but like he took 7,000 shots. I know people, Russ Westbrook and stuff like that. People will talk about that. I mean, there's a little bit of that happening here. It seems like with Julius Randle. Again, Derrick Rose kind of wouldn't even say underwhelming. I mean, he's 5 of 5, 7 assists. I mean, that's him actually just kind of staying within himself. So that's actually a decent game. 8 and 12 for Mitchell Robinson. Obi Toppin, 9 rebounds. I'd like to see him get more involved. But again, as we talk about Obi Toppin here, I mean, he's a 76. He's 24 years old, so he's not the next Michael Jordan or anything like that. But but he's a guy who can score on the inside. Just kind of showing this inside scoring, and I kind of like this. Like, I'm not a big fan of like jack of all trades. Like, oh, cool, he's B's all the way down. Great. He just means he's kind of average at everything, right? I want a guy who can play defense. If you're a forward, I want you to be able to rebound, and he can kind of do those things. And then here he can also chip in, right? And he's elite as an inside scorer. So if he can develop, and this is why I'm letting the team come to me was kind of the theme of this first episode. If I can let this kind of develop, if he starts to develop, and I don't know, B potential is not that great. Basketball IQ C-. I mean, those aren't working in his favor. It would be nice to see him get these up into like even the B+ range would be a nice improvement for him. So. But right now, again, another loss. That's now 3 losses in a row. Let's simulate through just Sunday, and then we'll take a quick look here just around the league, see if anything's going on. So we got a few things since Miles Bridges there. A few call-ups. We haven't had any injuries. Warrior signed Dennis Smith Jr. Yeah, just a few call-ups there. We didn't look at injuries earlier, but we can just take a look and see how those are going. So again, I have it sorted by duration here. Definitely some players some bigger names for sure. Yeah, I saw Holmgren was hurt really early in the season, like in the first game. Cade Cunningham, I mentioned, being hurt, but now he's day to day, so he'll be back. Whoa, he'll be back really soon because this was like 4 to 6 weeks. How did he get back so soon? Oh, I guess it's pretty close. Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's rip off another week and then we'll look at the box scores. Okay, Caruso was one of the players the Bull. I actually like this Caruso player. I'm not going to do this trade because I'm certainly not interested. But Caruso was one of the guys. We won the championship with the Lakers in I think 20. He was actually an intriguing player when they offered it for Derrick Rose. So again, what am I looking for? Perimeter defense, playmaking. He's 28 though, right? So he'd be kind of like coming off the bench. But I kind of saw like, oh geez, I wish they were kind of offering him up as, just something really, really cheap, like just let's swap bad contracts or something, because he would actually fit. So maybe what we could do is actually put him on our watch list of like, I would trade for this guy. He's going to have 1 year left. Let me find his contract here. He'll have 1 year left after this season, and it's a little overpriced probably for what we need him for. There's a team option after that. And actually, it's not that bad. I mean, he'd be a backup 1 and 2 guard, and certainly a guy who can come off and play defense. You got a late lead, that kind of thing. I actually think Alex Caruso could be a decent fit. So I don't think from here I can add him, right? So I'm certainly going to reject this trade. Decline the offer, yes. But let's go and if there's a faster way, please let me know. Apologies if I'm doing this the super slow way. I didn't think I could do it from that screen, but I will add Caruso. And again, target list. It's not like it's not like a primary objective to go and get him on the team or anything like that. But it is a player I'm interested in. So more losses. We finally get another win. We've now won 2 in a row, right? So definitely seeing higher point totals in these games than I am even on 12 minutes simulating, or I should say watching. I mean, the simulation engine is just different. Every sports video game's like that. Completely different engines. Let's see. So 21 for Barrett, but still, geez, 9 of 21. So it's just tough to see when you lose and you see a guy going 9 of 21. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just, yeah. I take that back. That's not terrible. I was thinking like 9 of 31. So yeah, I mean that's just under 50%. But still not great, especially for someone who kind of specializes on inside scoring. Obi Toppin, 14. Julius Randle, 3 of 15. Again, he's been not shooting well. Derrick Rose, 2 of 12. So, yeah, I mean, we go the way of our our shooting percentage, right? And that's probably not a huge surprise. Like our shooting percentage and winning percentage are probably there's probably a pretty strong correlation between those two, which you could probably say is a normal thing in the NBA. Trae Young, 48 points. That's a hell of a game, 91 overall. 22 for Murray. Justin, yeah, they do have my GM ranked or whatever it's called now. I have it turned off. I have the score thing turned off just because the settings I'm using. I don't even think I would qualify anyway because I think they like block it if you make too many changes, and I change way too much. So double for Collins there. So again, nothing to write home about here. Just looking at a few quick stats here just for myself. Yeah, points in the paint, 30 and 56. Okay. Yeah, not. I mean, it's just absolute blowout loss there. Justin, I'm on PS5 right now. This is another pretty tough loss to a good Sixers team. Joe Embiid, 36 and 11. Harden, 23. Harris, 22. Actually, I got to meet Tobias Harris at an NBA 2K event, the one they had in New York City. Nice dude. Let's see. Hey Simon, yeah, it's CPU versus CPU for the games that we're like watching, and I've just watched like 3 of them so far. None of them. At the very beginning of the stream, I showed like the last like 4 minutes of a game. Brunson 22 and Quickly off the bench. Quickly's been pretty good off the bench. I mean, we've talked about point guards, right? We've talked about him a few times now. Let's take a look at Quickly here. So again, he can chip in on offense, not really his thing, but he does kind of fit what I'm looking for as a perimeter defender and a playmaker. So he is certainly in the mix. So I guess maybe when we think about Caruso, probably don't need it, right? I mean, what we're kind of keeping an eye on. Hey, thanks, Simon. Appreciate you subscribing. What we're seeing, I guess what I'm keeping an eye on now is that potential is just not great. And I think that, oh, that's cool, Justin, being number 1. Yeah, I'll have to see how that all works. Like, because I tested it to see if I wanted it on, but like I never saw where the score was. So maybe I'm just ridiculous and have no clue where it is. So maybe message me on Twitter or something, point me in the right direction, because it'd be cool to turn on. I'm not opposed to it, but it's also not something I care too much about. But I mean, at the same time, that's awesome that you're number 1. That's super impressive. So very cool. Anyway, so Quickly, I mean, Derrick Rose most likely is not going to be on this team next year, right? Quickly will. As far as I know. We'll see what his contract's looking like. Team option, I can't imagine us not picking that up unless he's hurt or something, outrageous. He can develop a little more on offense, but at the very least, he's a backup, right? So the only thing we'd be looking at Caruso for is like if Quickly turns into a starter, then maybe we can bring in Quickly to kind of come in and play off the bench a little bit, but I don't know. My guess, if I had to guess right now, it's that we're probably taking a guard in the first round, especially if we're picking early, and that Quickly will remain that backup, and he'll be a really, really nice backup. So I'll keep Caruso kind of on our watch list, but yeah, I don't know. If Quickly had better potential, I'd be a little bit more optimistic, but just not seeing that. RJ Barrett, not a great game for him, 17 points. He's just taking a lot of shots, and it's like he's just not a great shooter, as you can see here. I mean, nice inside scorer, good passer, again, can play defense, absolutely has a role on this team. Fits kind of what we're trying to do, but yeah, he's taking a lot of shots and missing a lot of shots, more importantly. So yeah, another super ugly loss at the Sixers. Again, they're a good team, so it's not really something. Oh, good question, Logan. Logan says, have you ever thought of doing an online league? Yes, we are doing one. So don't freak out, but we're actually planning to do one that's kind of like this, where it's like simulation only, but it'd be like really fast paced. So like maybe each day we'd sim an entire month, or we'd sim a week or whatever, and you can adjust all that you want. We've tried like at Sim Sports Gaming, right? We've tried like the full-on online league, everyone gets a team and we're going to play tonight, and they just fizzle out. Like, people don't play the games, or when they get to be 0-3, they quit, and like there's no incentive to keep playing, right? And so what we kind of thought about doing is like, well, what if we just did it as like a full simulation, but then like maybe we could let people play the playoff games, or we just keep it like fully sim. There's a thread I put up on Operation Sports inside of the NBA 2K like online section or whatever it is. That's kind of just drumming up some interest. We have some interest on our Sim Sports Gaming Discord, and then also on Operation Sports on that thread. Or just reach out to me on Twitter at Mike Lowe 47. And yet that's something this week I want to put together. Maybe tomorrow or Thursday I can kind of get that set up and created. And yeah, just be kind of fun. Because I was even thinking too, it'd be cool to like, what if we set it up like the NFL, where we have like a 17 game schedule or something like that, and just like really, really quick seasons, and we get into drafts and things like that. It'd just be kind of fun. So yes, good question. We are looking to do that. Hey, we finally won a couple games. Let's look at these really quick. 26. There's Quickly again. 7 of 8. He's going to start to maybe make it hard for us to ignore him. There's a good game for Randall. 18 and 14. Robinson 16 and 8. See the difference? It's the game we win. I mean, granted, we scored 145 points. I would hope we won. It doesn't look like we even went into overtime. I mean, that is just a ridiculous game. So that's good to see. And then here we win against a 7 and 4, I guess their record now, Timberwolves team. 35 points for Anthony Edwards. I've used the Timberwolves the last few years in NBA 2K. He's so good. Yeah, Logan, we'd love to have you. And same thing, we don't have a ton of people, honestly, in our community that are passionate about 2K. We have a few. And so, I agree with what you guys were just saying. I think that was Simon who just said that, or somebody just said, like, yeah, focusing on the playoffs and just the off season. Yeah, I think that'd be super, super fun, right? But we need more people in that community who are into this game. Just for whatever reason, this community, they're a little bit more into like Madden, more into like out of the park baseball, games like that. Let's see here. 37 for RJ Barrett, 14 of 25. That's how you win games. That's how you win 2-point games. Randall, decent game, 27 points. That's a really good game, actually. Almost a triple-double. Very nice. Quickly again, 5 of 10. Quickly is like definitely, I mean, he's our sixth man. He's playing really well. He's someone I might even start off the next stream kind of doing a little bit deeper dive on Quickly. He looks solid. Again, Rose, just he is what he is, 10 and 7. It's not terrible. Excuse me. All right, but we'll take the win. And we went past the first of the month there. That's okay. So we're up to November 7th at this point. I mentioned that we'd be going, again, an accelerating train, right? We're going a little bit slower in the beginning. And I'm going to just save this as a new, just in case there's some crazy error that we're unaware of here, but also gives us a nice backup. But I mentioned we're a slowly accelerating train. We did not get very deep just yet, but we already have a few talking points for this next episode. I don't quite know an exact schedule. I'm kind of thinking right now maybe like Tuesday and Thursdays at the same time, like 4 o'clock, and kind of keep these between like 30 and 60 minutes or so. We went a little bit longer today. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. And again, your whole role here is assistant general manager. We've intentionally taken it slow. We're intentionally letting the Knicks kind of come to us at this point. And we are eventually going to be making some decisions. I mean, clearly, right? So I've gotten a ton of subscription notices during this stream. I appreciate every one of those. I appreciate all the questions. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want. There's other content we do here, mostly sports gaming. And specifically realistic. Like I don't do MUT. I don't do even like my career. It's just not my thing, right? I try to do some different stuff on this channel and try to really keep it as realistic and fun as we can. But I'm also on Twitter at Mike Lowe 47. And then if you want, you can join the Discord at simsportsgaming.com. There's a link to it there. And yeah, like I know a few of you asked about that online league. I think it'd be really fun to kind of set one up just like this, really. And what's cool about the Sim Sports Gaming site is like you can even write your own articles about the league or your own team, and little things like that. Just kind of adds to the community. So, but we're gonna stop there for now. Let's plan to be back Thursday, same time, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and we will pick this up. And I'm thinking we'll at least we'll probably at least get to the All-Star break, which would be like February. I mean, we're gonna tear through some games, right? Because then after that, we're kind of looking at the trade deadline. Where is the trade? Oh, wow, it's right before that. So we'll either sim to the trade deadline and then kind of mull over maybe some trades we're looking at. That's probably what we'll do. I mean, the All-Star game is not that exciting as far as like a video game's concerned. But it would be kind of fun to like participate in these activities too, like the 3-point contest or something like that. So, but I think next time we'll go up to February 9th. But for now, we're going to stop it there. I appreciate y'all checking it out. I appreciate you subscribing and for supporting. And again, thanks so much, everyone. I will talk to you on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. See you then.